Today we are looking at one of the 6 areas of what a first 1,000-day friendly church is focusing on to ensure that all children get a strong start to life in their community. And so as a reminder, when we think about the first 1,000 days, we're thinking about that period of time from pregnancy till 2. So thinking about when mom, at the beginning of pregnancy all the way to 2, we're thinking of families in the stage. And as a first 1,000-day friendly church, we're thinking about how can we make sure that we find these families in the first 1,000 days and that we provide the kind of care that these parents need in the season. We know that churches are not perfect and don't have it all together, but we know that first 1,000-day friendly churches are taking steps forward to love and support pregnant moms and new dads. And so first 1,000-day friendly churches are using what they have to speak up about the importance of the first 1,000 days, praying for and with families in the first 1,000 days. They are equipping and preparing parents. They are surrounding families in the first 1,000 days, and they are creating warm and welcoming spaces, as well as collaborating with other churches and services in the community so that they can refer families to get all the care and support that they need. And these 6 areas make up what we see as a first 1,000-day friendly church. And today's practical workshop, we are looking at the area of how can we help families in this space feel that they are equipped and they are prepared as parents. So we're going to start today just thinking about and reflecting on what it is like to be found in the space. Like when you think back to maybe a time when you were pregnant or you were expecting a child as a father, did you feel ready? Did you feel you knew all the information that you needed to know and what to expect as a parent? Where did you get your information from? Now that you're older and have experience of what information has helped you, what support would you have liked and what information was helpful? So I'm going to give you a moment. Just going to play a little bit of music just for a minute and give you a moment to think about, to reflect on these questions, write them down on a piece of paper or put them in the chat box. When you were expecting a child, or did you feel ready, and did you feel like you knew all the information you needed to know? Where did you get that information from? So we're just going to play a little bit of music to allow you to reflect on that question.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Lona Snyder from Golden Star Ministries here in Uppington.
Hello, Lorna. Welcome.
Thank you. When I was the first time pregnant, it was a good feeling, but also very strange. Being alone in a place with parents not near you and far away from you. It's really it's not frustrating, but it's a feeling that you can't describe to people. And I think the first 1,000 days classes in what you can as a church do for the communion is a very good thing, because if I think back the way I felt and how scared you were and how afraid you were and all the answers that you don't have and you don't know what to do, what's the first step and what's next, and yeah, so it's a scary feeling being young and alone, and but when you have a support group, it means so much. It really means so much, and that's why we as a church try to support the young people and try from the youth stadium to tell them that it's not a child's play. You need to know to be sure before you get a child. A single parent is, I think, still it's much worse than being a young couple, because you have each other, but
Yes.
being alone and and with no support can be very frustrated. So I think it's a good thing that that we have here, where we can equip young people, young couples, and that whenever they have children one day, that they will be ready.
Wonderful. So what I'm hearing you saying, equipping and preparing parents also means that they're ready. And so the next question that I want everybody to weigh in on and put in the chat box or unmute themselves is, when we say equip and prepare parents, what do we mean? So I agree with you, Lorna, that it is a very overwhelming time, this time of having a baby,
Yeah.
especially as you say, if you're alone, if you're single, if there's other complications, there's a lot of information available out there, but we can feel very anxious and unprepared and overwhelmed and
That's
go,
true.
do I know what I need? And if we're far away from family or grandparents or those people that we rely on for trusted information, this time can be very scary. So I want to hear from the group, as you think about equip and prepare, what does that mean? What are some of the words or things that come to mind when we think about equipping and preparing parents in the first 1,000 days? I'd love to, if you can unmute yourselves or put it in the chat box very briefly. I see Nompumelelo, you've put in the chat box, when I was pregnant, the clinic was very helpful as per the classes of support, especially for myself, who was young and not prepared for the baby that was on the way. So I see that word, especially for support. So this equipping and preparing is also providing some layer of support in there. Nompumelelo, as you think about equipping and preparing other young parents, and you think about where you were at, what does it mean for you for us to be equipping parents? What are we doing in that? Fortunate, you're saying give as much support as possible, especially with the first pregnancy. This is because new moms don't know what to expect. So there's a sense of, in that equipping and preparing first-time parents is important. Maybe this is something completely new, needing to learn a whole new thing in there. And I heard somebody say earlier today that when we think about preparing parents, it's also thinking about, like, when you prepare the room for the baby, you've got the clothes, you're preparing the stuff that you're preparing for this time. But there's also that sense of preparing our hearts, and preparing ourselves emotionally for this time, that we've got to feel confident with what we're going to do. Someone else shared as well this idea of helping parents to make informed choices, that they've got information that helps them to feel informed to care for their children well, so that they can help their children to grow strong and healthy because they've made informed choices. So keep it coming in the chat box, what it means for you to be preparing parents and equipping them in this world where we know there's lots of information out there, but we can still feel overwhelmed and worried and say, do I know enough? Avila, you saying it is to give them the necessary information that they need as they're about to enter a new journey of being parents. In other words, transforming their minds. I had the information, but not enough to be a parent. But I thank my mother that was there for us, which is amazing. And I agree with you. There is this transformation. I remember for myself, it felt like a complete learning curve in that time. I was learning so many new things, and was also grateful for those people who helped me in that space. Databa, you saying when you get pregnant, the first thing to see is the doctor or clinic. Very important, get help. And I couldn't agree with you more. They would give very important information for mom and dad. And so part of equipping and preparing our parents is to direct them to the clinic and saying, guys, to keep yourself healthy, to be pregnant, for the pregnancy to be healthy and baby to be healthy, we need to be directing our parents to the clinic, to their healthcare provider, to ensure that. And Nompumelelo is saying first pregnancy, one has no idea what to expect. Even the day of delivery, did not know about exercising during pregnancy completely. And so it's helpful to have people in our community who are sharing that information. I'm loving what's coming in the chat box. And keep it coming in there. Bevan Welken from Worcester saying older women in the church are experienced and supporting families. And I see Reverend Ratsoma saying equip means to run mini workshops about expectations, responsibilities of the coming life. prepare is to make them ready to support and nurture the coming baby and getting ready to receive and accept the coming baby. Accommodation, necessary needs for the baby, financial support. That is all how I can go. So when we think about it, what you're saying there is there's this preparing for the whole thing. There's so much in this phase as the family is changing. And so your church can help parents to feel confident and prepared to positively go through this new season of life. This is something that churches have a unique opportunity to use their strengths and assets to help parents to feel confident and well prepared. Parents who are better equipped and confident in their knowledge, this has a positive impact on their child's development, their brain growth, and a lifelong impact. And so there are many different ways that we can equip and prepare parents for parenthood. We can do it in informal ways through things like mentoring. A lot of what we've mentioned already tonight fits into this informal ways. And then there's the formal ways of equipment where families need training, and they can go through a little course or training. So these are things that we can be doing. But the first step is for you to ask some questions and get to know what organizations and services and people are in your congregation and in your community that you can be partnering with to get good and reliable information that you can refer parents to find information. We can look at what you already have happening in your church that can be used as a method or way to equip parents with knowledge and skills to raise their child. So we have a resource called Get to Know Your Community, which we encourage you to use, where you think about what's happening in your community, what are those organizations and services that could be useful. So if you had to spend some time thinking now, what is in your community that can be used to equip and prepare parents? What not? If you had a piece of paper in front of you, write down some of the ideas of what is happening in your community. What organizations are there? What services are there? Maybe what's there for fathers to equip young fathers? What's there to equip teen parents in the stage? And then what's happening in your church? You might already have a program or a course that's aimed at parents, and you need to see, is it including the first 1,000 days? Or what activities do you have in your church? What opportunities do you have to focus on equipping and preparing moms and dads in your church? So God has put various gifts and strengths into your congregation, and they can play a part in preparing moms and dads and caregivers. You could consider older fathers to mentor new dads, or older women in your church. I've heard us mention some of the grannies and older women in the church. They can be encouraging and giving important information to our parents. You might be able to host a specific training or course or send out material from organizations. You could have various things that are happening in your church that could be equipping. So there's a slide up at the moment on a piece of paper. Think about what is happening in your church or your community that you could potentially be looking at to help you as you think about equipping and preparing your parents. Some of you might already be doing some things. For some, it's something new. What is happening in that space? So I'm trusting that some ideas are coming through for you on how you can be doing this, or what's in your community and in your church, what strengths and gifts God has given you already. Brian is going to take us through some of the things around this informal training and formal training.
Thanks, Ruth. So as you're saying, that there are two types of training when it comes to equipping and preparing parents. And I'm sure for many of you can think you had some informal training, which, as we saw or Ruth explained, is more of a mentoring type of training. And I'm going to start with this one because I believe this might be one of the easiest ways to start equipping and preparing parents in your church, because it is like peer sharing, it's mentoring, it's sharing reliable information. And so I'm going to give you some ideas now on how you can informally train a parent, and I encourage you to write down some ideas that could work in your church. If we think about it, we've heard some people say today how their mother helped them or encouraged them, or there's older women in the church that they'd go to for advice. And so that's what we mean by informal training. So one of the things you can do is create opportunities for mentoring. So getting older dads to mentor young fathers or first-time fathers, or older women, as we heard earlier, talking to the younger moms. I think it's Nompo Malemo who said that you have that happening in your church. Create spaces for shared peer learning. So if you had Bible studies or life groups or home groups or your midweek meetings, if you have those for families that have children at the same age, it's a way of families sharing with one another, learning from one another, and it's an opportunity also to use resources for that particular age group. There might be, if you have a WhatsApp group for mums, we say mums and tots, so mums and babies WhatsApp group, or a dads and babies WhatsApp group. And on there, you could share a range of information, good, reliable information. You could have pamphlets in your church venue. So either from Sikunye or Side by Side or the Department of Health, or there's many resources that have good, reliable information. And as Sikunye, we've tried to put it all onto one website for you so that you can find it easily. And we'll share the link later tonight. But if you have that information available, you can then hand out to parents who come into your church that are in the first 1,000 days. Maybe instead you've got a WhatsApp group that you set up for mums and dads, but maybe on that you're sharing trusted information with the mums and dads, and they're getting to talk to one another as well. And we're going to talk through some of the great resources that are out there. There is things like blogs, I don't know if you've, or like diaries that people write online, which can help parents just get some information from another parent experiencing something very similar. So there's some new father ones. So one that we love is called Afro Daddy, and another one called The Dad Dude. And it's just men talking about their experience of being a dad in the first 1,000 days, and encourages other dads as well. And what we see, the fruit of this is that when you have this informal type of sharing, I'm sure we could ask those who've said that they've had that happening in their church, where there are older women and men giving advice or information to the younger families, where parents, your mum and dad maybe were the ones that you turn to for information. When we have this happening, the fruit is that families are then sharing their first 1,000-day experiences and guidance with one another, and families are feeling supported from one another. And then you also have your formal training. And so these are probably maybe a little bit harder to start, or maybe not, because there are various courses for training that specifically a first 1,000-day for any church can run. And so these are more structured ways or formal ways of equipping parents. And so you might already have a course or a program that you're running that's aimed at parents. What we found is that many churches do have courses for parenting, but not parenting in the first 1,000 days. So maybe you can adapt your training or change your training or include families in the first 1,000 days. Some other ideas are that as Sikunye, we have developed a fatherhood in the first 1,000 days training. This is where you train a male role model in your church, an older male who wants to meet with dads, and he can run a group of dads in your church or in your community where dads are meeting together regularly and learning practical ways that they can care for their baby whilst receiving support and getting peer support around them. We will put the link in the chat box if you would like to find out more about that. It is a 2-week training, and as I said, it's for if you select an older male in your church to train, they get manuals, and there's a facilitated conversation that man will have with fathers in your community and in your church. Again, this is all via WhatsApp and Zoom, so we hope that it can reach many churches in South Africa. But then after that, so this is specifically for fathers in the first 1,000 days and learning skills to be a dad in the first 1,000 days. And after that, there are other amazing resources out there like Fathers Matter. They have connect group resources that you can use to continue meeting with dads and continue Bible studies and conversations with fathers in your church. You may want to invite organizations such as FAMSA or Parent Center, who can then come and talk, like give a talk in your church, something relevant to what is going on. So if it's counseling or positive parenting, or yeah, they all offer various parenting programs that they can do. There's also Flourish, as you heard earlier. Someone mentioned that they got the information from Flourish. So Flourish offers antenatal and postnatal classes. This is a national campaign where they train women in your church or in your community to be a host, who can then run these classes, or you can use your venue to host a class. So you will have one of these Flourish hosts come into your church and run the classes. And so you may not be able to be the ones to train. You may not be the ones who can actually run a course, but we encourage you to look at other churches around you that may be offering some of these courses that you can refer moms and dads to, or you use your venue as a place that other organizations can come and equip and prepare families in your community. I want to watch a video now that we made, where we spoke to a few pastors and congregants that are working in churches to equip and prepare families in the first 1,000 days. And as we're listening to it, write down some of the trainings that they speak about that maybe you want to do, or maybe if you have an idea of what you can do in your church, and then we will talk some more afterwards. So today we are looking at how the local church can equip and prepare parents in the first 1,000 days to either be parents, or as they have already had a baby, what to expect. And so we have Sophie and Jose and Pastor Lakubi with us. Hi, Jose. So do you want to share with us how you are equipping moms and dads? But I think you, with Flourish, are largely focusing on mums. So, you know, what courses do you run, or what information are you sharing with parents? Do you want to share with us what you're doing in your church?
All right. So after I have joined Sikunye, I can actively say that I have learned quite a lot, not just only being a Flourish host. This has enabled me to extend the awareness surrounding raising a baby within the first 1,000 days, supporting the family who are within the first 1,000 days, collectively, not just me as an individual, as a Flourish host, but collectively as a church. So through that, I have been able to introduce the Flourish program at my church, and also Sikunye, by inviting church leaders to attend the Church and Eddie Life, so that they can also understand what Sikunye is all about, what the first 1,000 days is, and how can we as a church support, you know, parents within the congregation who are within that first 1,000 days. So since I have also introduced the Flourish program within the church, it has actually improved, if I could say that. It has improved the lives of the little ones at the church, and even the parents as well. They have different views on breastfeeding, for example, safety around children, because for a child to flourish in life, they also need to be raised in a very healthy environment. Also, the steps that I have taken is introducing Sikunye at the church, and by also involving the leaders of the church, so that they can also attend other webinars that we also host, like fatherhood, which is the latest that Sikunye has also introduced.
Maybe you can explain a little bit of what are the classes. Are you hosting these classes in your church? Do you use your church to promote the classes? How are you working with the church to do that?
So I'm not hosting at the church, but I am just hosting at, I'm using online platform currently because I've put face-to-face classes on hold. So how am I using the church? So I speak to pastors at the church so that they can spread the word to parents. This is not only for my church, but for the community at large, just to spread awareness around Flourish classes so that moms out there know that there are programs like Flourish, and for them to know more about them is to come through to our church, also to know more about Sikunye as well. So I use online platform, which is WhatsApp video call. So that is how we host the classes through a 5-week journey period, and each class it's only about an hour max.
Great. That's great, Hanse. So you're doing an online version of Flourish. How does the pastor get hold of you if they want to do something like this? Maybe they've got mums to refer to you, or how would somebody, or if there's a congregant listening today, how would they get hold of you or Flourish to be able to do an online version?
So anyone who'd like to get hold of me, they can contact me on 078 770 6238. So you can share these numbers to any moms who is pregnant, or any person who'd like to donate either pre-loved clothes so that we can give to moms who are less fortunate. They can do so. Otherwise, if there's any congregant member who'd like to become a Flourish host, they can also visit our website, which is www.flourish.org.za, and they can also Google Grow Great website so that they can see what Flourish is all about, how to become a Flourish host as well.
Okay, great. Thank you, Hanse. And so what I love about Flourish is it's a national campaign to offer antenatal and postnatal classes to mums in communities, and they train mums, or they train older mums in communities who can support mums who are expecting new babies and who've just had a new baby. And you've explained, Hanse, how there's an online version which mums can join. But Sophie, I know that you do an in-person version. So do you want to share with us, Sophie, what you are using Flourish for in your church to equip mums and dads? But I know you've also done a few other things within your community to equip parents. Do you want to share that with us? You'll have to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Bryony. So I also have, apart from being a Flourish host, I also have a mom and baby play group that is 5 years old this year. Because as Honse was saying now, Flourish, we only give support until baby is in postnatal, until baby is 6 months old. So I give support after the Flourish journey. The moms join my mom and baby play group, which I journey with them for until they are 3 years old, and the babies go to a ECD or a creche. So I equip, or I make sure that moms, like the antenatal moms, they do have the information and support to make informed choices. And in postnatal, how to love, talk, and play with your baby. I also have had the privilege to do the home visit training with Sikunye, and also the Katalela training. And so it is sometimes you find moms that is in the community, but they really struggle, and like, they have such a low self-esteem that they don't want to come to the Flourish classes. But through Sikunye and the home visit training, I can meet the mom where she is. So that is and also through Sikunye also, I connect, like, for example, the heartlines and the fathers matter, because fathers are also part of the Flourish, like in the antenatal visit. We have the antenatal journey. There's 2 visits, visit 3 and visit 9, that the father can sit in the visit. And especially when we look at visit 9, the 4th trimester, becoming a parent. So to give the fathers the support so they can know they also matter to their young ones,
The
the
steps
babies.
you've taken is that you were trained as a Flourish host, and then you got your church on board by encouraging them to see the importance of their role. And then you've been working with mums also, as you said, doing some of the Sikunye trainings that we offer, so Katalela and home visiting, and sharing. You share good, reliable information, but it's also supported with what they need, like toiletries or practical support. So I love that. So thanks, Sophie, for sharing that. And then Pastor Dlakubi, you've also gone and you've been trained in fatherhood in the first 1,000 days. And I know as a church you've got your church on board to offer this. Do you want to share with us about the training, like what it helps you to do and how you are implementing, or how you're doing that in your church and your community now?
In our church, after attending the session from Sikunye, there are so many things that we have implemented to our church. For example, we have teach our church that if ever we see a young child becoming pregnant, we should be supportive as a church. We should not judge. We should not make that particular child feel ashamed to come and join the church again. And also, there are certain women who have already selected to go and advise the baby to go to the clinic in time and take all the health measures, because we are not experts on that particular department, but there are people who are experts. So we advise everyone, especially to girls, even if it is not girls, it is matured women. We advise all women to go to the clinics and consult according to the schedules. And therefore, we come to the church. If ever the father is also involved in the church, we sit down with them. We try to communicate to find the relationship between the father and the child and the mother, and also between the father and the parents of the two. Therefore, if ever there's a problem, we try to communicate the problem so that the father will be able to help the mother to raise the child according to the standard of the Sikunye. So that's something we have already implemented in our church. And
when you did the training for fathers in particular, you received a manual that you're now implementing with dads. Do you want to just tell us how that went? Like, how was the training? Because the training's on WhatsApp and online, and then you've got the manual, and I know you've already started meeting with dads. So how are you using that manual, but also how are you finding other information in your community to share with dads so they feel equipped to be positive and involved fathers?
After taking the training and going to the manual that we have, I then realized that no, this thing is something that everyone should at least know and be aware of what is happening, and be told that you should at least do it in this way, because before we were doing it according to our understanding and according to our desire. You see, so after it's like after attending this section from Sikunye, reading the manual, it was like you have given us a way of how to approach all these things. So I can say I'm happy about that, because now I'm able to equip daddies about what I have learned from Sikunye. While before, maybe I was going to run out of ideas with how I'm going to help him, how I'm going to tell him, how I'm going to say anything that will be positive to the father. But now, at least after collecting all the information from the manual, I'm able even to answer some of the questions that was going to be difficult. And I'm proud to tell that no, this information is beyond my power. I'm not an expert to it according to the manual, because the manual also teaches us that we are not professionally in some particular stages, especially in medicals. We are not professional. We can transfer can refer the father or the mother to those who are professional. So those things I got it from the manual. So that's why I can say the manual has helped us a lot. The section from Sikunye has helped us a lot to give us an idea of how to approach and equip ladies.
Like how you've shared, you have some ladies in your church that go with mums to the clinic. So you're providing an informal way of equipping parents by reminding them that the clinic is the place to go to for good and reliable information.
Yes.
And our hope as Sikunye is that we can put together resources that help you as pastors to share good and reliable information. And I know Flourish is the same. They've got good and reliable information. So one of the other things is so we've spoken about how you can either have someone trained in your church to offer these programs as Flourish or Fatherhood, or you could refer parents to a Flourish class that's happening, or you can refer a dad to a class that you would be running, Pastor Lukubi. But I know, Pastor Fati, you've collaborated with other organizations such as Parent Center, and I know Heartlines and a few others. Do you want to tell us how you are equipping parents in your community?
Okay, thank you very much, Bryony. Let me start by saying, yes, I've learned a lot from Sikunye, and then I went and attended a few workshops that opened up also and equipped me with the skills so that as a pastor, how can I better minister to the community? And that's where the collaboration that you spoke about, that I'm going to dwell much, and then actually expose me to a lot of opportunities when I get involved with the Parent Center, and where we actually organized, not for the church, but for the community at large, like workshops to train parents on how they can raise up their children and then in a positive parenting. So that opportunity actually I got through Sikunye, and also it didn't actually end there. There were also other programs that we actually implemented in our community, where also we work with the local clinics to make awareness and raise, to make sure that community is aware of what is happening in the first 1,000 days of a child's life. So as a pastor, it actually gave me actually a platform and opportunity to get involved. And by doing so, it's also part of evangelism, if you can put it that way. Because now the community also see that the church is also taking care of their little ones as well.
Thank you, Pastor Fati. And I like the one example you gave is that you got the clinic, the local clinic, to come. So they offer a clinic at your church every month, I think it is, right? And so then they're giving information to families in the first 1,000 days, but they're also checking different things about the baby, make sure the baby's healthy. So I love that. That's one way you have partnered with the clinic to share good, reliable information, to get mums going and asking the clinic questions if they have any questions. I know that you have a WhatsApp group for pastors where you share information in the area. Do you have a WhatsApp group for mums and dads where you can also share information or share like learning opportunities, or how do you have something like that for parents in your church or in your community?
Yes, I do have. After our involvement with Parent Center, we decided actually to create a group where we share information, and also the other program that I do as a pastor in the community, where we share, because we are believing in the power of empowerment. Because when we make awareness in those platforms, people have become aware, and people are also interested in wanting to actually to learn more. So that's how you actually link people to resources. We do have that kind of group.
Okay, great. Thank you, Pastor Fati. And I just want to ask Khonse, when you are working in your community or in your church, what would you encourage pastors as to where they can get good, reliable information that equips parents? So I know if you're working with the clinic, what kind of brochures can they be looking for? Where can they find good and reliable information?
My advice is for parents to get reliable information from the clinics, and also to get in touch with Flourish hosts nearby, just so that they are able then to attend the classes, because we also provide reliable information as well. We do leave pamphlets at the clinics.
Okay, great, thank you. And I know also in clinics that you get access to, and you can correct me, but there's free access to how to raise a happy, healthy child booklets. There's breastfeeding, how to breastfeed. There's a whole lot of other messages. There's messages for mothers, and there's side by side. If you go into a clinic, where would someone find that information? Because a pastor should be able to go and take that information, right? Those brochures, and take them back to their church.
So with regards to that, the side-by-side booklet, they are able to get, we do have a soft copy to share, but at the clinics, then they can go through to the antenatal side of the clinic, where they also the postnatal side clinic, and speak to the nurse there. They'll be able to give through those approaches. But with us as host, we then dive deep into the conversation on how to raise a happy child. And also we speak more about breastfeeding, how to latch successfully, the baby on the breast, and so forth. Also the Road to Health book as well. It has quite a lot of information that moms can actually search on that booklet, that they also get from the clinic.
But thank you, Hunter. So encouraging to go to the clinics and go get the hard copy of the brochures that you can hand out to parents. I don't know, Pastor Fati, since you're still with us, do you want to just tell us about like how, or what do you plan to do moving forward with your church? Maybe just some advice to pastors on how they can move forward in equipping and preparing families in their communities, because I know as your church, as LRC, you're going to be taking steps, and what advice would you give to other churches to also take steps forward?
As a church, what we did actually, what we've done so far, we trained through Sikunye. We trained members of the church through home visits. I think we've got a few members that have been trained as home visitors, because as a pastor you cannot do it all, so you need to equip your members, that are those volunteers that can be able to reach out to the broader community. So we also through Sikunye, we trained one member for book sharing, because we believe that the information that we got we can be able, when we come across those challenges, we are able to solve the challenges. Because book sharing also is part of making sure that we create spaces for the little ones to learn, and also we as parents to connect with our babies. So we equipped our members to make sure that we are together in this, making sure that the most vulnerable, the first 1,000 days, children are taken care of. And now the next step that we'll be doing from now, we as a church, we've got opportunities. I want to urge all pastors to open up and look around. We've got opportunities to preach the gospel in every spaces that we have. We've got clinics, we've got schools, we've got crèches. Let us use these opportunities, but we must actually come to organizations like Sikunye to be equipped so that we can do this in a professional way. As you mentioned earlier on, that sometimes we need to get the information in a reliable institution, so that we don't cause harm or danger to our community. If God actually give me volunteers, I'll have volunteers in the clinic whereby they reach out to the moms in that what you call the antenatal side. You know, I'll have people placed in that area with the intention of preaching the gospel, using the resources that Sikunye and other stakeholders have, like Flourish and all, because we've got an opportunity as a church. So let us utilize it as pastors, go out there, be equipped. Thank you very much. I will end there.
Thank you, Pastor Fati. And yeah, I love that he's saying that you can have people in your church commissioned, or you give the responsibility to go speak to mums and dads at the clinics, and through talking about, showing them good and reliable information, you can then also show a warm and welcoming church that they can come to. And as you say, that's a form of evangelizing, but at the same time, it's also the form of giving them the support that they need. And I wanted to ask Sophie one last question around if she could share a story with us of a mum or a family that she has journeyed with, but she has equipped and prepared, and what has helped that family, or what ended up happening.
In my journey, in my Flourish journey, I have met really young moms, teenage moms, and I was able, as a host, we have, like Honse also said, we do have reliable resources. We have the infographics to show moms. So I have this particular mom that struggle with breastfeeding. As a young mom, there's a lot of emotions they're going through, and when baby struggle to latch well, they tend to easily give up. But I was able to give this particular mom the support. And also recently we had breastfeeding training that Flourish provided with, the in refresher, in so we are able to give the support. And when mom, I found when they feel supported, and through relationship building, and they feel supported, it just gives them that extra encouragement to continue. And even there is, my nipples is sore and I struggle, but I was able to, baby is mom is breastfeeding successfully. So, but it does help to have the infographics to show moms what is the benefits of breastfeeding for her and for baby. When it comes to illnesses and bonding, and just being able to equip and prepare and support moms.
So it's been great to hear some real life examples of how church leaders and congregants are equipping and preparing, making use of reliable other organizations like Flourish, like Heartlines, Parent Center. We've seen FAMSA come up in the chat box too, that there is great resources and stuff there. And I love what Pastor Fati is saying, that we need to equip our congregants. And so as Sikunye, we have our Katalela training that you can be equipped in as a church leader, but we also encourage you to equip key volunteers in your church who have a heart for supporting and caring for young moms and dads in the first 1,000 days. They can also be equipped to go and visit with moms and dads in the first 1,000 days and to share reliable information. So what we have got is a WhatsApp training for these volunteers, for church leaders, to learn how to use the tools that we've created, the step-by-step guides, for you to have these visits with moms during pregnancy, just after birth, etc. And then we've also got links to resources of good information that you can share with parents at the stages that they're in, given the questions they might be asking. So the next training is happening on the 28th of May on WhatsApp. And so speak to your congregants that you think are well suited for this, invite them to participate and be equipped in that. And then we also, as came up in the chat box, Sikunye has a Fatherhood in the First 1,000 Days program that you can also be getting men in your church, and we want to make sure that it's the right men in your church who can be journeying with fathers. They can be equipped, and like Pastor Nglakubi said, get a manual that can help them to either run groups with men or to do an individual journey with the men. And so those are options that Sikunye offers. Otherwise, we point you to Heartlines, as far as Fatherhood has other great material that you can make use of. So to wrap up today, I want to say it's important that we think of how we can be intentional around training and equipping and preparing parents, that we can do this both formally with training and programs, but we can also do it informally. And we've shared many different ideas. So I trust that you are walking away today with some ideas of what you can be doing next as you think about sharing information with parents and helping them to feel confident that they can make informed choices to raise their children well. So First 1,000 Day Friendly Churches are doing what they can with what they have to prepare families in their church and around their church to provide the building blocks of responsive, nurturing care in this relationship. And it might be partnering with other organizations or using material or referring them to other services. So we do have a resource page on our website that you can look at for more information around equipping and preparing. And then for our next practical workshop coming up in August, we are looking at how you can be speaking up around the first 1,000 days. So save this date for the next practical workshop on the 21st of August, looking at how you can use your voice and your trusted influence to be speaking up around the issues around the first 1,000 days. So I trust that today has been helpful. I am going to close us in prayer. We've come to the end of today's practical workshop. If you have any questions or comments that you'd like to add, you're welcome to stay after I close in prayer and we can chat further. But otherwise, let me close this off tonight.